Hi dear, welcome to Trader's Mind Code. Trading Psychology from the Disciplined Trader by Mark Douglas. Introduction. The inner game of trading. What if I told you that your biggest trading opponent isn't the market? It's you. Not the news, not the economy, not the charts or the algorithms. It's your thoughts, your fears, your beliefs, and your reactions. That's where the real battle is fought, and either won or lost. Welcome to Master Your Mind. Trading Psychology from the Disciplined Trader, a journey into the deepest layer of successful trading, the psychological one. Inspired by the timeless insights of Mark Douglas. This book is not just about what you do in the markets, but about who you become. Mark Douglas was among the first to say what few dared to. Consistent profitability has little to do with your strategy, and everything to do with your mindset. Yet most traders, especially when starting out, obsess over finding the perfect system, the holy grail. And when it fails, they blame the markets, switch strategies, or worse, quit altogether, never realizing the issue wasn't the system. It was the self. This book is for the trader who is ready to take responsibility, not just for their trades, but for their thoughts, their emotions, and their results. Because the truth is, you can trade with confidence. You can execute without hesitation. You can be disciplined, calm, and consistent, but not by adding another indicator, by rewiring how you think. Throughout this book, we'll break down powerful psychological principles from the disciplined trader, translating them into actionable steps for today's trader. We'll talk about fear, greed, doubt, overconfidence, impulsiveness, and how to transform each one from a liability into an asset. You won't just hear theory. You'll hear stories. You'll see yourself in examples. And you'll get practical, real-world techniques to strengthen your mental game and start trading with the clarity and confidence you've always wanted. Let this book be your inner coach, your mental mirror, your silent partner in the market. Whether you're a beginner who's frustrated or a seasoned trader stuck at a plateau, this is your turning point. Because once you master your mind, the market will no longer feel like chaos. It will become a field of probabilities, and you, a disciplined, strategic player with the power to win. Let's begin. Chapter 1. Why most traders lose. Let's start with a hard truth. Most traders lose money. Not just occasionally, consistently. It's not because they're unintelligent. In fact, many are highly educated, analytical thinkers. Some have read dozens of books, watched hours of market content, and even memorized technical patterns. Yet, despite all this effort, their results don't improve. Why? Because most traders approach the market with the wrong mindset. They think trading is like solving a puzzle. If they just find the right piece, the picture will be complete. So they hunt for the perfect strategy, the perfect setup, the one indicator. That never fails, but the market doesn't work like a puzzle. It works like a probability machine. It rewards those who can think in terms of odds, not outcomes. It favors those who can manage risk, not avoid it. And most importantly, it punishes emotional decisions. The illusion of control. One of the first reasons traders lose is because they believe they can control the outcome of a trade. They enter a position and start hoping. Please go up. Just a little more. Don't reverse now. Stay green. They watch every tick with their heart in their throat. And if it moves against them, they hold on longer, hoping it will come back. Because admitting a loss feels like failure. But the market doesn't respond to hope. The market doesn't care who you are, how badly you need a win, or what indicator flashed a buy signal. It simply moves. Based on the collective psychology of millions of participants, if you're trying to control the market, you're playing a losing game. The only thing you can control is yourself. Emotional trading, the silent killer. Imagine this. You see a perfect setup. You've seen it work before. You enter the trade, but the moment you're in, doubt creeps in. What if it fails this time? You move your stop loss. You shrink your profit target. You hover your mouse over the close button, and just like that, you've sabotaged your edge. Most traders lose not because of poor analysis, but because they can't manage their emotions once money is on the line. Fear causes hesitation. Greed causes overtrading. Ego causes revenge trading. And impulsiveness? That causes chaos. Until you learn how to emotionally detach from the outcome, you'll keep repeating the same mistakes, no matter how smart or skilled you are. Mistaking randomness for skill. Another common reason traders lose. They mistake luck for skill. Let's say you win 3 trades in a row. It feels good. You start believing you've figured it out. So you increase your position size. You take lower quality setups. You trade more often. Then the losses hit, harder than before. Suddenly, you're not just giving back profits. You're in the red. This is called the illusion of control, and it's one of the most dangerous traps. In trading, Mark Douglas called it the random outcome trap. Because markets have randomness built into them, even the best setup can fail. If you base your self-worth or strategy on short-term wins, you're setting yourself up for long-term disappointment. The cycle of destruction. Here's the vicious cycle many traders fall into. Initial hope. They find a strategy and feel excited. Early wins. They get a few lucky trades and gain confidence. Emotional attachment. They start trading more aggressively. Losses begin. Emotions take over. They deviate from the plan. Overcorrection. They switch strategies, indicators, or styles. Repeat. The cycle restarts. This is how traders burn out. Not from lack of knowledge, but from lack of psychological discipline. What makes winners different? So what separates the small group of winning traders from the losing majority? It's not intelligence. It's not complex strategies. It's not insider information. It's this. Winning traders think in probabilities, manage risk religiously, and follow a process without emotional interference. They understand that no trade is certain. They don't need to be right every time. They just need to manage their risk and let their edge play out over time. They treat trading like a business, not a lottery. They focus on execution, not outcome. And most importantly, they've trained their mind to stay calm, patient, and disciplined, even in chaos. Final thoughts for this chapter. If you've been losing consistently, don't blame yourself. Trading isn't easy, not because the markets are complicated, but because they expose every emotional weakness we have: insecurity, impatience, impulsiveness, fear of missing out, fear of being wrong. This book isn't here to give you a magic setup. It's here to help you see clearly, so you can stop fighting the market and start working with your own mind. Because once you understand why most traders lose, you're already on the path to becoming one of the few who consistently win. Let's keep going. Chapter 2. The Invisible Battlefield. Your mind. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You're sitting at your trading desk. The market opens. You see your setup forming, clean, clear, textbook perfect. Your hands hover over the mouse. You hesitate. You click. You're in. Now your heart rate climbs. The candle moves. Profit shows, then vanishes. Now you're in a loss. Your brain floods with noise. Should I cut it? Should I hold? What if it reverses? Why didn't I wait? I knew this would happen. Your palms sweat. Your breath shortens. Logic fades. Emotion takes the wheel. Sound familiar? Welcome to the real battlefield of trading, your mind. Trading is 80% mental. Mark Douglas said it best. The consistency you seek is in your mind, not in the markets. Yet, most traders keep looking outside themselves. They analyze the chart, tweak the indicators, switch strategies again and again without ever stopping to ask, what's happening inside me? And that's where the real problem lies. Because no matter how good your system is, if your mindset is fragile, your execution will be too. You'll hesitate on good trades. You'll hold on to bad ones. You'll overtrade, revenge trade, and worst of all, you'll stop trusting yourself. The feedback loop of emotion. Let's break down what happens psychologically in a trade. Anticipation. You spot a setup. Excitement rises. Entry. You enter the trade. Now you feel exposed. Vulnerable. Movement. Price goes up or down. Emotions spike. Greed, fear, hope, doubt. Reaction. You make decisions based on those emotions. Result. Win or loss. Your brain records it emotionally. Next trade. Your mind carries the emotional memory into your next setup. This is called an emotional feedback loop. And it's incredibly powerful. Your trading brain becomes shaped by past emotional experiences, not logic, not probabilities. If you've had a few painful losses, you'll hesitate, even when the setup is right. If you've had some lucky wins, you'll get cocky and overtrade. That you're not trading the chart anymore. You're trading your emotional history. The beliefs beneath the surface. So, where do these emotions come from? At the root of your reactions are beliefs, often unconscious. Things like, losing is failure. I need to win to feel confident. I can't afford to be wrong. If I lose this trade, I'm not good enough. I must avoid pain at all cost. These beliefs don't come from trading. They come from life, from childhood, school, jobs, relationships, culture. And when you enter the trading arena, these deep-seated beliefs show up loudly. The market becomes a mirror. It reflects your mindset, your insecurities, your patterns. That's why the same trade that causes one trader to panic can cause another to stay calm. It's not the setup, it's the inner script. And until you rewrite that script, no amount of strategy will save you. Mindfulness is a trading tool. Here's something most traders don't realize. Self-awareness is a trading edge that if you can recognize when fear is hijacking your thinking, if you can pause before acting on impulse, if you can observe your thoughts, instead of reacting to them, then you've already won half the battle. Mindfulness isn't just for monks. It's for traders who want clarity. The ability to stay calm under pressure is just as powerful as any technical skill. Start asking yourself, what am I feeling right now? What belief is driving this emotion? Am I reacting or responding? Is this action part of my plan or part of my fear? These small pauses create space, and in that space, you gain control. The two selves of a trader. Inside every trader, there are two selves. The logical self, calm, analytical, focused on process. The emotional self, reactive, impulsive, focused on outcome. When you're planning your trade, it's the logical self who's in charge. You make rules. You set your stop. You know your edge. But once money is on the line, the emotional self tries to take over. Let's move the stop. Let's just take profits early. Let's double down. It has to bounce. The secret is to train your emotional self to serve your logical self, not sabotage it. And that starts with awareness, repetition, and a commitment to personal growth, not just strategy refinement. You can't outsmart the market, but you can outsmart yourself. Most traders waste years trying to beat the market. They treat it like a dragon to be slayed. But the market isn't an enemy. It's just information. It's neutral. It reflects the beliefs and behaviors of its participants. The real opponent is the part of you that resists uncertainty. But here's the beautiful paradox. The moment you stop fighting your mind and start observing it, you become free to trade without fear, free to lose without breaking, free to win without becoming reckless. That's what mastering the invisible battlefield is all about. Final thoughts for this chapter. The greatest traders in history weren't just good at reading charts. They were masters of their own psychology. They understood that the market is uncertain, that losses are part of the game, that emotions are natural, but must be managed. This chapter is your invitation to stop looking outward and start looking inward. Because the more you understand yourself, the better you'll understand how to trade. In the next chapter, we'll explore belief systems, how they're formed, how they shape your trading decisions, and how you can change them to support your success. The battle isn't out there. It's in your mind, and it's a battle you can win. Chapter 3. Belief Systems and Market Realities. You don't trade what you see. You trade what you believe. That may sound strange at first, but think about it. Two traders can look at the exact same chart, same candlesticks, same indicators, same price action, and come to completely different conclusions. One goes long. The other goes short. Why? Because they don't see the chart the same way. They interpret it through the lens of their belief systems. And this changes everything. What is a belief? A belief is simply a thought that you've accepted as true, consciously or unconsciously. That it's not always based on fact. It's not always logical. But once it's embedded in your mind, it acts like a filter. It colors the way you interpret reality. It decides what you focus on, what you ignore, what you fear, and what you chase. In trading, your beliefs determine how you define risk, how you react to uncertainty, whether you cut losses or hold on, whether you trust your plan or second guess it, whether you trade to win or trade not to lose. So, if you want to change your trading behavior, you don't just need a new system, you need a new set of beliefs. The belief behind every button click. Let's zoom in on a common scenario. You see a strong setup. It matches your plan. Your indicators align. But you hesitate. You don't click. Or worse, you click, then exit early when the trade wobbles. Why? Because beneath the surface, there's a belief whispering, what if I lose? I can't afford another failure. I'm not good at this. These beliefs don't come from the chart. They come from within, from past experiences, childhood conditioning, or painful memories. But they now control your behavior in the present, and unless you expose them, challenge them, and reshape them, they'll keep hijacking your trading, one button click at a time. Surface actions versus core beliefs. Most traders try to change their actions. I need to be more disciplined. I have to stop overtrading. I'll just follow my plan this time. But actions are just symptoms. The real cause is deeper. If you believe losses mean I'm a failure, then you'll avoid taking losses, even when they're small and necessary. I need to win to feel confident. Then you'll close trades too early just to lock in a win. The market is out to get me. Then you'll feel paranoid, reactive, and inconsistent. You can't fix a belief problem with willpower alone. You have to replace the belief with something more empowering and more aligned with how the market actually works. Market reality versus mental reality. Here's where things get tricky. The market operates on its own logic, its own reality. It doesn't care about your stop loss. It doesn't owe you a win because you lost yesterday. It won't reward you for being a good person. It doesn't remember your entries. It's not personal, ever, but your brain is wired to make everything personal. It tries to find patterns, to assign meaning, to protect you from pain. This creates a conflict between your mental reality and the actual behavior of the market. Until your beliefs match market reality, you will always feel frustrated, confused, and emotionally drained. Rewriting your trading beliefs. So how do we align our beliefs with market truth? Start by identifying the false beliefs that sabotage you. Here are some common ones. Crossmark. More trades equals more profit. Crossmark. If I lose, I failed. Crossmark. I can predict what the market will do next. Crossmark. If I miss this trade, I've missed my chance. Crossmark. If I'm not constantly active, I'm not learning. Now replace them with beliefs that reflect reality. White heavy checkmark. Trading is about probabilities, not predictions. White heavy checkmark. Losses are part of the process. They don't define me. White heavy checkmark. Missing trades is normal. There will always be another setup. White heavy checkmark. Discipline is more profitable than activity. White heavy checkmark. My job is not to be right. It's to manage risk and follow my edge. Say them aloud. Write them down. Repeat them until they become your new normal. Because once your beliefs change, your behavior will too. Beliefs drive behavior. Let's be clear. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your beliefs. That if you believe trading is about control, you'll get frustrated. If you believe you need to be right, you'll panic on losses. If you believe risk is dangerous, you'll sabotage every trade. But if you believe losses are learning tools, the market is neutral, you only need an edge, not certainty, and success is a long game, then your trading will transform, not just technically, but emotionally. Final thoughts for this chapter. Trading is a mirror. It shows you what you truly believe, not what you say you believe, and that's the gift. Because when you start examining your beliefs honestly, you open the door to lasting change. Not temporary motivation, but true transformation. The market won't change for you, but you can change for the market. And when you do, trading becomes simpler, clearer, lighter. In the next chapter, we'll dive deeper into the emotional forces that shape trading decisions, particularly two of the strongest, fear and greed. Because once you understand the beliefs, it's time to meet the emotions they fuel. Let's continue. Chapter 4. Emotions, friends or foes. In the heat of a trade, you're not just dealing with price action, you're dealing with a storm of emotions. Your heart races. Your hands sweat. Your thoughts race faster than the chart moves. One moment, you're calm and focused. The next, you're impulsive, doubting, panicked, or euphoric. Welcome to the emotional roller coaster of trading. But here's the real question. Are these emotions your enemy or your ally? In this chapter, we'll unpack the emotional side of trading. We'll explore what emotions really are, why they show up, how they influence your decisions, and most importantly, how to stop letting them sabotage your trades. What are emotions, really? Emotions are not random. They are data, internal signals that reflect how you're interpreting an experience, especially under uncertainty. In trading, that uncertainty is constant. Every candle that forms is unknown. Every trade you take involves risk. The market doesn't offer guarantees, only probabilities. This triggers your survival brain. the part of you that evolved to avoid danger. Seek comfort and protect your sense of self. That's why trades can feel so intense. A loss feels like a threat to your identity. A missed opportunity feels like rejection. A winning streak makes you feel invincible until it doesn't. That if you don't understand this, you'll try to resist emotions. You'll fight them, suppress them, ignore them, and that's the real danger. Not the emotion itself, but your reaction to it. Emotions are not the enemy. Here's a powerful truth. Emotions are not your enemy. Untrained emotions are. Fear isn't bad. Greed isn't evil. Doubt isn't weakness. Euphoria isn't sin. That they're all natural reactions to uncertainty and risk. The key is not to eliminate emotion, but to become aware of it, understand it, and act in spite of it, not because of it. Think of emotions like fire. Uncontrolled, fire can burn down your house. But controlled, fire cooks your food, warms your home, and fuels your journey. The same is true for your feelings. Let's talk about fear. Fear is the dominant emotion in most traders' minds. Fear of losing, fear of missing out, fear of being wrong, fear of not being good enough. This fear doesn't always show up as panic. Sometimes it's subtle. You hesitate to enter a good trade. You move your stop further out. You exit too early just to lock in a small win. You avoid trading altogether, even when the setup is there. Fear distorts perception. It makes small risks feel huge. It causes hesitation, overanalysis, and paralysis. But here's the truth about fear in trading. Fear doesn't come from the market. It comes from the meaning you attach to a potential outcome. Losing $100 isn't scary by itself. What's scary is what it means to you. I failed. I'm not good at this. I'll never make it. The solution isn't to remove risk. It's to reframe what risk means to you. Then comes greed. Greed is the flip side of fear. When you're in a winning trade and the market moves in your favor, a voice whispers, let it run. Just a little more. Double down. It's going higher. Don't exit now. You'll miss out. Greed makes you overstay. It makes you ignore your plan. It blinds you with the fantasy of reward while pushing you to risk more than you intended. Greed isn't about wanting money. It's about wanting more because more feels like safety, power, or worth. But here's the irony. Greed destroys the very thing it craves. Consistency. That's why successful traders don't chase profits. They follow rules. They manage risk. They take what the market gives and no more. The emotional pendulum, fear and greed, aren't isolated. They swing back and forth like a pendulum. You lose, you fear losing again, you play small. You miss a good trade, you win, you feel euphoric, you overtrade, you lose it all, you revenge trade, you make it worse, you feel shame, you go back to fear, and the cycle repeats. This emotional loop is what traps most traders. For years, they don't need a better strategy. They need emotional awareness. How to master your emotions. So how do we go from being ruled by emotions to using them as signals? Here are 5 powerful steps. 1. Acknowledge the emotion. Say it. I'm feeling fear. Don't judge it. Just notice it. This simple step pulls you out of emotional autopilot and into awareness. Point 2. Pause before reacting. When emotions spike, breathe. Pause. Don't act immediately. The market will always give you another trade. What it won't give you back is your capital or your peace of mind. Point 3. Name the trigger. Ask, what am I reacting to? A red candle? A losing streak? A feeling of unworthiness? Naming the trigger reveals the belief behind the emotion. Point 4. Reframe the meaning. Instead of I'm losing, say, this is part of the process. Instead of I must win, say, I must execute my plan. This creates emotional distance from the trade and gives you control. Point 5. Act based on plan, not emotion. Have a plan. Define your rules. Then, follow them regardless of how you feel. Let your plan guide your trades. Let your discipline protect your account. Let your emotional energy fuel your growth, not your regret. Final thoughts for this chapter. Your emotions are not a curse. They are a compass. They point to the beliefs, fears, and desires that drive your behavior. And when you learn to listen, not blindly obey, you become stronger, steadier, more in control. The market will always be uncertain, but you don't have to be. In the next chapter, we'll zoom in on the 2 most powerful emotional forces in trading, fear and greed, and uncover how they silently control decisions, destroy discipline, and how you can finally break free. Remember, You're not here to eliminate emotion. You're here to master it. Let's keep going. Chapter 5. Fear, Greed, and the Need to be Right. There are three emotional forces that quietly destroy most traders. Not in one dramatic blow, but in small, invisible moments. Fear, greed, the need to be right, each one by itself, is powerful. But together, they form a toxic trio, a psychological trap that pulls traders away from logic, away from discipline, and ultimately, away from profitability. This chapter is your map through that trap that will break down each emotion, understand its hidden roots, and most importantly, show you how to take back control so that your trades are driven by clarity, not chaos. Fear. The mind killer. Fear in trading often feels like a whisper at first. What if I lose? What if this trade doesn't work? What if I make the same mistake again? But when it takes over, it becomes a scream. It shows up in hesitation. When a trade setup is perfect, but you freeze. It shows up in avoidance. When you skip trades altogether after a loss. It shows up in sabotage. When you exit too early or remove your stop just to delay the pain. Fear is not just about losing money. It's about what the loss means to you. For many traders, a loss means, I'm not good enough. I failed. Maybe I'll never get this right. That emotional weight turns trading into a battlefield of self-worth. And once that happens, you're no longer managing a trade. You're defending your identity. The antidote to fear? Acceptance. Accept that losses are part of trading. Accept that you cannot control outcomes, only your actions. Accept that your value as a person is not tied to the result of a single trade. Once you stop trying to avoid losses, you'll stop fearing them. And once fear loses its grip, your clarity returns. Greed. The silent seducer. Greed doesn't scream. It seduces. It feels like excitement, euphoria, possibility. You hit a few good trades, and suddenly you believe, I'm on fire. I should increase my size. I can double this account by next week. You start chasing more, risking more, ignoring your plan. Why? Because greed isn't just about money. It's about control. It's about forcing the market to give you more than it's offering. But the market doesn't respond to desire. It responds to discipline. Greed tricks you into believing you're invincible until one trade wipes out days or weeks of profits. How greed destroys progress. Overtrading after a win, removing targets because it might go higher, doubling down on a winner without a plan, chasing trades out of FOMO, fear of missing out. These actions are emotional, not strategic. And remember, anything not based on strategy is based on hope. Hope has no place in execution. The antidote to greed? Sufficiency. Know what is enough? Enough risk. Enough reward. Enough setups per day. Enough progress for this week. A professional trader doesn't chase the market. They let the market come to them. They don't try to make a fortune in one day. They aim for consistency, day after day. The need to be right. Ego's final stand. Of all the trading emotions, this one is the most dangerous because it disguises itself as confidence and conviction. The need to be right. This shows up when you refuse to take a stop loss. You double down on a losing trade because you know it'll turn. You feel personally attacked when the market moves against you. You think, this can't be happening. I know I'm right. The truth is, needing to be right has nothing to do with trading and everything to do with ego. Mark Douglas put it brilliantly. The market doesn't care about you. It doesn't know you exist. You can't make anything happen. You can only align yourself with what is happening. When you tie your self-worth to being right, every loss becomes personal. And that's the most dangerous state a trader can be in. The antidote to the need to be right. Humility. Let go of the illusion of control. Let go of the fantasy that you'll catch every move. Let go of trying to win every trade. Shift your focus from being right to executing right. That if you followed your process, even if the trade lost, you succeeded. If you ignored your process, even if the trade won, you failed. Let that be your new scoreboard. Trading without emotional interference. To trade at a high level, you don't need to eliminate emotion. You need to separate emotion from execution. Here's how to build that skill. 1. Predefine your trades. Know your entry, stop loss, and target before you click. No mid-trade decisions. No emotional edits. Point 2. Use position sizing that feels comfortable. If you're emotionally attached to the outcome, you're risking too much. Size down until you can think clearly. Point 3. Track emotional patterns after each trade. Ask, what did I feel during the trade? Did I act based on emotion or plan? What belief triggered that emotion? Awareness is the first step toward mastery. Point 4. Celebrate process over outcome. A win that breaks your rules is not a win. A loss that follows your plan is not a failure. Detach your identity from your results. Attach it to your discipline. Final thoughts for this chapter: fear, greed, and the need to be right. These are not just emotional states. They are patterns rooted in beliefs, reinforced by habit, and triggered by uncertainty. But here's the good news. These patterns are not permanent. They can be rewired with awareness, with structure, with discipline. You can transform your emotional weaknesses into psychological strengths. You don't need to be fearless. You don't need to be emotionless. You just need to be self-aware and committed to growth. In the next chapter, we'll shift from the internal to the practical. We'll explore how to create a trading system that supports your psychology, not fights against it. Because successful trading isn't just about having the right mindset. It's about building an environment that keeps that mindset strong. Let's continue. Chapter 6. The shift from hoping to knowing. If you've been trading for any length of time, you've likely felt this moment. You take a trade. The setup looks promising. But as soon as you're in, your thoughts spiral into uncertainty. I hope this works. I really need this one to be a winner. Please, market, just move in my direction. And now you're no longer trading a setup. You're trading a wish. This is where most traders live, mentally stuck in a state of hope. And it's costing them their confidence, their consistency, and their capital. But the elite trader lives in a different place, not in hope, not in fear, but in knowing. Not knowing what the market will do, but knowing what they will do, regardless of what the market does. This chapter is about making that shift from a trader who hopes to a trader who knows. Hope is not a strategy. Hope is a beautiful thing in life. It drives dreams, inspires action, and fuels perseverance. But in trading, hope is a trap. It reveals that you're emotionally attached to the outcome. It shows that you're uncertain, not about the market, but about yourself. When you're hoping, you're no longer neutral. You're no longer disciplined. You're no longer in control. You're waiting, wishing, praying, instead of executing. Here's what hope-based trading looks like. You hope price will come back after it moves against you, so you don't cut the loss. You hope a breakout will run, so you enter late and over-leverage. You hope today will be the day you make it all back, so you force trades that aren't there. And slowly, hope becomes your default setting, your emotional crutch, your excuse to avoid accountability. How hope fuels the cycle of inconsistency. Let's break it down. You find a strategy. It looks solid. You take a few trades, some wins, some losses. Then a loss stings more than expected. You start to hesitate. You trade again, this time hoping for a win to rebuild confidence. But now your mindset is fragile. You're avoiding pain more than you're pursuing process. You tweak the system. Jump to a new one. Hope again. This is how strategy hopping starts. But the real issue isn't the system. It's the mental model you're operating from. Hope equals safety. But in trading, hope gives no safety. Only structure does. Knowing begins with certainty in yourself. So, what does it mean to trade from a place of knowing? Let's be clear. It doesn't mean you know what the market will do. That's impossible. Knowing is not about predicting. It's about being prepared. It's about knowing your edge, your process, your risk, your role, your rules. When you trade from knowing, your mind is calm, detached, focused on execution, not outcome. You understand that one trade doesn't matter. One outcome doesn't define you. What matters is repetition, consistency, and honoring your plan. This is the mindset that separates amateurs from professionals. How to shift from hoping to knowing. Let's make this practical. How do you build a mind that trades from clarity, not craving? One, define your edge. If you don't know why your strategy works, you will always doubt it. Your edge could be a pattern, a setup, a behavior in the market that repeats. Know it, write it, backtest it, build confidence in it. Because when you know your edge, you stop hoping the trade works. You expect it to work over time, not every trade, but over many trades. Point 2. Systematize your process. Trading should not be improvised. Professionals don't wake up and see how they feel about the market. They follow a checklist. They follow a routine. Entry criteria, clear. Stop loss, defined. Target, planned. Risk per trade, fixed. Trade frequency, controlled. With a system, every trade becomes a decision, not an emotional reaction. Point 3. Detach from the outcome. The more you need a trade to win, the less likely you'll trade it well. You can care about your performance, but not about this trade. Detach. Ask yourself before every entry, if this trade loses, am I still okay? If the answer is no, your size is too big, or your mindset is too attached. Point 4. Reframe uncertainty. Most traders fear the unknown. They crave certainty. But in trading, uncertainty is not the enemy. It's the environment. The market is always uncertain. What must be certain is you, your actions, your plan, your response. Start welcoming uncertainty. See it as the space where your edge plays out. The more comfortable you get with it, the less you rely on hope, and the more you build emotional resilience. Point 5. Review with honesty. Shift your post-trade review from "Did I win?" to "Did I execute?" Track your emotional state. Note your mindset. Measure your discipline. Over time, these become the foundation of your confidence. Not hope, but proof. The mental transformation from reactive to intentional. Here's the truth. Hope is reactive. Knowing is intentional. When you're trading from hope, you wait to feel good before acting. When you trade from knowing, you act in alignment with your process. Regardless of how you feel, you don't chase. You don't hesitate. You don't pray. You execute. And that's where freedom lives. Not in control of the market, but in control of yourself. Final thoughts for this chapter. If there's one shift that can elevate your trading, it's this. Trade from knowing, not hoping. Know your edge. Know your plan. Know your risk. Know your process. Know that no single trade defines your success. The more you build that internal certainty, the more peaceful trading becomes. Not because you win every time, but because you no longer need to in. The next chapter, we'll explore how to build trust in yourself as a trader. A trust not based on results, but on self-integrity. Because once you stop hoping and start trusting, you step into true mastery. Let's move forward. Chapter 7. Building self-trust and trader integrity. You can have the best trading system in the world, tested, proven, and profitable. But without self-trust, it won't matter. You'll doubt your signals. Second-guess your rules. Deviate from your plan when pressure rises. And all the logic in the world won't save you from emotional sabotage. The heart of consistent trading isn't just strategy. It's integrity. Not the moral kind. We're talking about trader integrity. The ability to align your actions with your intentions, especially under stress. In this chapter, we're going to talk about how to build self-trust. Not blind confidence, not hype, but a deep, quiet certainty that you will do what you said you'd do, every time, regardless of outcome. This is the bedrock of professional trading. What is trader integrity? Trader integrity means you follow through. It means your behavior matches your rules. It means you trust yourself because you've proven you're trustworthy. In short, if I say I'll cut a trade at a 1% loss, I do. If I promise to only take A+ setups, I wait. If my plan says no trades today, I walk away. There's no internal war. No negotiating with yourself in the middle of a candle. No justifications like, this time is different. Let me just adjust the stop. I feel like it's going to go. I'll follow the rules again tomorrow. Trader integrity is the antidote to inconsistency, because when you operate from integrity, you don't need to feel motivated. You act from discipline, not emotion. Why self-trust is so difficult to build? Let's be honest, most of us weren't raised in environments where we were taught to manage risk, tolerate uncertainty, and stay calm under pressure. Instead, we were taught, be right, win at all costs, avoid mistakes. If you fail, you're not good enough. So when you enter the world of trading, you're carrying all that emotional baggage. And the market becomes a mirror, reflecting back your deepest insecurities and habits. You say, I'll follow the plan. But when the candle turns red, your old beliefs scream louder than your logic. This constant emotional override damages your self-trust. Each time you break a rule, even in secret, your subconscious records it. I can't trust myself to follow through. Over time, this creates hesitation, fear, guilt, and inconsistency. And you begin to feel like you're trading against yourself. How to rebuild self-trust step by step. Good news. Self-trust is not a personality trait. It's a skill. And like any skill, it can be trained. Here's how. Step 1. Keep small promises. Start by making micro commitments to yourself and honoring them. I'll journal every trade today. I'll stop trading after 2 losses. I'll meditate for 3 minutes before I trade. These might seem small, but every time you follow through, you reinforce the belief. I can trust myself. And when you don't shame yourself. Just notice it. Adjust. Try again. The goal isn't perfection. It's consistency of intention. Step 2. Track rule adherence. Not just P&L. Your profit and loss statement is not the only scoreboard. It's not even the most important one. Track how often you followed your plan. Create a column in your journal called, "Did I follow my rules?" Answer honestly, yes or no. No explanations. No justifications. This keeps the focus on process, not outcomes. And it builds internal alignment, regardless of what the market does. Step 3. Define your personal trading code. Create a written list of your core trading rules. Not just your system, but your behavioral principles. For example, I cut losses at my stop every time. I never move a stop once placed. I never trade outside my system. I take only 1 trade per session, max. I always review trades before the day ends. This becomes your contract with yourself. Read it before you trade. Let it become your compass. Step 4. Celebrate rule-based wins and losses. If you followed your system and lost, celebrate it. Seriously, that's a win for your discipline, a deposit in your emotional account, a sign of true progress. Over time, your brain will associate following your plan with success, not just being right. This rewiring is what separates the gambler from the professional. Step 5. Call out self-betrayal gently when you break a rule. Don't ignore it. And don't beat yourself up either. Simply name it. I didn't follow my stop rule. I let fear win this round. Then ask, why did I do that? What belief drove that action? Bring awareness. Shine light on the pattern. Then move on. Smarter, stronger, more conscious. Integrity brings peace. Once you start building self-trust, something profound happens. Trading becomes less stressful. You stop obsessing over every tick. You begin to feel proud of your behavior, even on losing days. Why? Because you're no longer negotiating with yourself. You're operating in alignment, and that alignment creates emotional peace. A rare, quiet confidence that comes from knowing, no matter what the market does, I'll do what I said I'd do. That is power. That is freedom. What happens when integrity breaks? Let's be clear, everyone slips. Even disciplined traders. You will sometimes override a rule. You will feel fear and act on it. You will take a trade you shouldn't. The difference is this: amateurs excuse it. Professionals examine it. When integrity breaks, don't run. Reflect. Own it. Learn from it. Then recommit. Because how quickly you return to your rules is more important than how perfectly you follow them. Final thoughts for this chapter: trading isn't about controlling the market. It's about mastering yourself, and the path to mastery begins with self-trust. Trusting your plan. Trusting your process. Trusting your future self to follow through. That trust is built one decision at a time, one rule at a time, one trade at a time, and the reward, a calm mind, a consistent approach, a professional identity. In the next chapter, we'll explore the role of probabilities and detachment, how to let go of needing to be right, and finally, embrace the probabilistic nature of the game. Because once you trust yourself, you're ready to trust the market, not to give you a win, but to show you opportunity. Let's keep going. Chapter 8. Discipline. The trader's edge. In a world obsessed with indicators, setups, and strategies, one truth often gets ignored. Discipline is the ultimate trading edge. Not the RSI, not the moving average, not the pattern on your screen. Those are tools. But tools are useless in the hands of someone who cannot use them consistently. The real edge, the one that separates the amateurs from the professionals, is your ability to follow your rules in real time, under real pressure. Discipline is what transforms knowledge into performance. It's the bridge between knowing what to do and actually doing it. In this chapter, we're going to demystify discipline. We'll explore what it really means, why it's so hard to build, and how to develop it so deeply that it becomes part of your identity. Not something you force, but something you are. What is discipline in trading? Let's define it clearly. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done when it needs to be done, regardless of how you feel in the moment. That it's not about rigidity. It's not about being emotionless. It's about making decisions from your plan, not from your feelings. That means sticking to your stop even when hope says hold on. Sitting out even when greed says just one more trade. Closing the laptop even when FOMO whispers check the chart again. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about consistency under uncertainty. And in a world where every tick, candle, and news flash can trigger emotional chaos, discipline becomes your anchor. Why discipline is so hard to maintain. If you've ever broken your trading rules, even after promising yourself you wouldn't, you're not alone. So why is it so hard? Because discipline often asks us to act against our emotional impulses. Your brain wants pleasure now. Discipline says, wait. Your ego wants to be right. Discipline says, cut the loss. Your fear wants to avoid pain. Discipline says, follow the plan. In essence, discipline isn't a battle with the market. It's a battle with yourself. And most traders lose that battle because they try to fight emotions with willpower alone. But here's the truth. Willpower is limited. Structure is sustainable. You don't build discipline by trying harder. You build it by designing systems and routines that remove decision fatigue and reduce emotional friction. Let's dive into how to build unshakable trading discipline. 1. Systematize every decision. Discipline becomes easier when decisions are already made. Before you open your platform, you should already know what setups you'll take, where your stop goes, how much you'll risk, when to exit, win or loss, when to walk away if any of those decisions are left open during a live trade. Emotions will sneak in. Systematizing creates a trading autopilot. An autopilot doesn't panic. Point 2. Use checklists religiously. Airline pilots use checklists. Surgeons use checklists. Why? Because high-stakes performance demands it. Create a pre-trade checklist, a morning routine checklist, a shutdown checklist. For example, pre-trade checklist. Am I emotionally calm? Does this setup meet all criteria? Is risk size appropriate? Is stop loss placed? Do I accept this trade? Can lose? A checklist removes ambiguity. It grounds you. It keeps your execution aligned. Point 3. Trade smaller than you think you should. Want instant discipline? Reduce your risk until your emotions are quiet. Most traders overleverage. They say, I'm disciplined, but they're risking 5%, 10%, even 20% per trade. At that size, even the best plan feels terrifying. Start smaller. Trade an amount that doesn't matter emotionally. Not until your execution becomes second nature. Discipline grows in a calm nervous system. Point 4. Have a post-trade ritual. After every trade, whether it's a win or a loss, reflect. Ask, did I follow my plan? Where did emotion creep in? What would a disciplined version of me have done? Write it down. Reflect daily. Over time, you'll begin to pattern your progress, not just in profit, but in precision. Point 5. Visualize rule following daily. Before you trade, close your eyes. Visualize entering a clean setup, holding through expected drawdown, taking the stop without hesitation, walking away after a rule-based session. You are rehearsing discipline, and the mind doesn't know the difference between real and imagined repetition. Visualization rewires your instincts so that when emotion spikes, your default response is aligned action. Discipline is a muscle, not a trait. People often say, I'm just not a disciplined person. That's not true. Discipline isn't something you're born with. It's something you build, like a muscle. And just like in the gym, growth happens through repetition. You don't become disciplined by reading about it. You become disciplined by acting with discipline, even when it's hard. Every time you honor your stop, you train the muscle. Every time you skip a non-setup, you train the muscle. Every time you review instead of revenge trade, you train the muscle. And the stronger that muscle gets, the more effortless your consistency becomes. What happens without discipline? Let's get real. Without discipline, you're not trading. You're gambling. You're guessing. You're reacting. You might catch a few lucky wins. But over time, randomness will destroy you. Inconsistent behavior leads to inconsistent results. Always, discipline is what transforms randomness into repeatability. And repeatability is what makes trading a business, not a game. Discipline is freedom. Here's the paradox. Most traders resist discipline because it feels like restriction. But in reality, discipline is what sets you free, free from fear, free from self-doubt, free from emotional chaos. Discipline doesn't cage you, it protects you. It creates structure. It removes noise. It gives your mind space to breathe. Once discipline becomes who you are, you no longer hope to follow your plan. You simply do. Final thoughts for this chapter. Let's end with this. Your strategy can evolve. Your edge can change. But your discipline must be non-negotiable, because without it, you have no foundation, no consistency, no identity as a professional. Discipline is not glamorous. It's not exciting. It's often boring, but it is the work. And it is the reason some traders rise and others fade. In the next chapter, we'll shift into an even deeper gear, creating a winning trader identity, how to mentally embody the trader you want to become from the inside out. Because once discipline becomes part of your identity, success is no longer a matter of if, but when. Let's continue. Chapter 9. Trusting the process. You've built a trading plan. You've developed your system. You've learned to manage your emotions. You've practiced discipline. Even after all this effort, do many traders still struggle? Because they haven't yet embraced one of the most critical ingredients of consistent success: trust in the process, not trust in the outcome. Not trust in a single trade, but trust in the process, the repeated, rule-based, long-term execution of your plan, regardless of short-term results. In this chapter, we'll explore what it means to trust the process, why most traders abandon it too early, and how to internalize process-based thinking so deeply that it becomes the core of your trading identity. What does trust the process really mean? In trading, the process is everything that happens before the outcome. It includes planning the trade, following your rules, managing risk, tracking your performance, reviewing and adjusting, rinse and repeat. When you trust the process, you detach from individual outcomes. You stop needing this next trade to prove anything. You stop measuring success by this moment and start measuring it over time, across a large enough sample size where your edge can play out. In other words, I don't need this trade to work. I just need to work the process. That mindset is freedom. It's power. And it's what turns traders into professionals. Why most traders don't trust the process? The concept sounds simple, but very few actually live it. Why? Because the market constantly challenges your trust. A perfectly executed trade still loses. A rule-breaking trade sometimes wins. Emotions scream, change something, even when you shouldn't. And let's be honest, we live in a results-driven world. You're judged by your outcomes. You're trained to measure worth by wins. And so, when the process doesn't immediately produce a positive result, you're tempted to abandon it. But here's the truth. Process is what produces consistent outcomes. Outcomes do not validate the process. Time does. If you change your plan every time you lose, you don't have a process. You have panic. And panic doesn't build mastery. Process versus outcome thinking. Let's look at the core difference. Outcome thinking, process thinking. Did I win? Did I execute? Focused on P&L, focused on performance, reacts to each trade, reviews over 20+ trades, chases emotional highs, seeks steady improvement, doubts after a loss, learns after a loss, needs external validation, builds internal certainty. When you focus on outcomes, you're constantly on edge, feeling great when you win and devastated when you lose. But when you focus on process, you gain emotional stability. You know that success is a result of consistently doing the right things, even when they don't produce immediate results. How to develop deep trust in the process. 1. Know your edge intimately. You can't trust a process you don't understand. Study your system. Backtest it. Journal your trades. Know its win rate, drawdowns, risk-reward ratio, and long-term performance. When you have statistical confidence, it's easier to stay committed, even during short-term losses. I trust this because I've seen it work over hundreds of trades, not just a handful. 2. Define what success means per trade. Success isn't did I make money. Success is did I follow my plan flawlessly? Track process success in your journal. Did you follow your entry rules? YW checkmark. Was your stop placed correctly? YW checkmark. Did you avoid overtrading? YW checkmark. Did you journal and review? YW checkmark. This rewires your brain to seek consistency of behavior, not random results. Point 3. Think in probabilities, not predictions. The best traders don't predict, they prepare. They know each trade is just one outcome in a series. It's like flipping a weighted coin. Sometimes it lands the other way. That doesn't mean the coin is broken. So instead of needing to be right, they focus on executing the edge again and again. This trade doesn't have to win. It just has to meet my criteria. 4. Detach emotionally from short-term results. Yes, wins feel good. Yes, losses sting. But when you're emotionally attached to every outcome, you become unstable. Trust the process. You must see each trade as a data point, not a definition of your worth. This is where journaling, meditation, and review come in. They allow you to zoom out, breathe, and see the bigger picture. Point 5. Set a minimum sample before making changes. One of the worst things you can do is change your system after 3 losses. Or even 10. Instead, set a rule. I will not evaluate or adjust my strategy until I've taken 50 qualified trades. This forces you to give your process enough room to breathe, that it's like judging a baseball player's career after just 1 inning. It makes no sense. Give it time. Give it space. Then assess with clarity. Real progress is often invisible. Here's something powerful. The most important growth in trading happens before it shows up in your P&L. When you stop overtrading, no one sees it. When you start sticking to your stop, no one cheers. When you wait for high-quality setups, no trophy gets handed out. But that invisible growth is exactly what leads to visible results. So stay patient. Stay process-driven. And understand that every disciplined action compounds over time. Trust is a feedback loop. Here's how it works. You follow your process. You review and learn. You start to see consistency. You begin to trust yourself. That trust fuels better execution. Better execution creates better results. Results reinforce trust. It becomes a positive cycle. And it all starts with one thing: choosing the process over and over, especially when it's hard. Final thoughts for this chapter. You will never eliminate uncertainty in trading. You will never know what the next candle will bring, but you can know how you will respond. That certainty comes from the process. So write it, refine it, respect it, and most importantly, trust it, because the trader who trusts their process becomes unshakable, not because they always win, but because they always show up. In the next chapter, we'll explore creating a winning trader. Identity. How to shape your inner world so your actions in the market reflect who you truly want to be. Let's keep building. Chapter 10. Overcoming self-sabotage. Have you ever exited too early, only to watch the trade hit your original target? Added to a losing position against your plan? Promised to follow your rules, then broke them again? If so, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken. You're experiencing a powerful force that operates silently beneath the surface of your awareness. Self-sabotage. This chapter is about exposing that hidden force, where it comes from, why it shows up even when you know better, and most importantly, how to overcome it once and for all. Because until you stop trading against yourself, no strategy will ever save you. What is self-sabotage in trading? Self-sabotage is when you act in ways that oppose your own goals. Often unconsciously, it's the internal tug-of-war between 2 parts of you. The conscious trader who wants to follow the plan. The emotional trader who wants relief, validation, or control right now. And when pressure hits, emotion often wins. That's why you break rules you swore to follow. I knew what I was supposed to do, but I didn't do it. Self-sabotage is rarely about lack of knowledge. It's almost always about unresolved emotion and identity conflict. Let's unpack that. Why do we sabotage ourselves? 1. Emotional conflict. Deep down, you might associate success with fear, discomfort, or even guilt. If I win big, I might lose it all later. I don't deserve success. What if I can't repeat this performance? These hidden beliefs can create emotional tension. And instead of confronting that discomfort, your subconscious solves it by sabotaging your progress, so you stay in familiar territory. Point 2. Fear of change. Consistent trading success will change your identity. It will challenge your beliefs about money, power, and self-worth. It will require you to become someone new. But change, even positive change, can feel threatening, and the mind, craving safety, sometimes prefers the familiar pain over the unfamiliar possibility. So it pulls you back into hesitation, into doubt, into the same destructive patterns. Point 3. Addiction to emotion. Let's be honest. Trading can be emotionally addictive. The thrill of a big win. The rush of entering a risky trade. The drama of riding the roller coaster. For some, this emotional volatility becomes a habit, a pattern. I say I want stability, but deep down, I chase chaos. Until that cycle is broken, discipline will always feel like deprivation, and sabotage will always be lurking. Common forms of self-sabotage in trading: moving stops after entry, overtrading after a win or loss, risking more than planned, ignoring trade criteria, revenge, trading, doubting a proven system, avoiding trade, journaling, quitting too early, or staying in too long. Each of these has an emotional driver. And unless you address the cause, the symptoms will keep repeating. Self-sabotage is a mirror. Every time you sabotage your own trade, the market is holding up a mirror that it's not punishing you. It's showing you where you're still fragmented inside. Where am I not aligned with my own intentions? What fear is driving this decision? What am I really trying to protect myself from? Trading is personal development at lightning speed. The faster you face those inner patterns, the faster you evolve. How to overcome self-sabotage, step by step. 1. Awareness before action. You cannot change what you don't see. The first step is not fixing the behavior. It's recognizing it in real time. I'm about to move my stop. I feel the urge to overtrade. This isn't my setup, but I want in. The goal here isn't perfection. It's presence. Name the urge. Pause. Observe. Then choose. That space between impulse and action, that's where freedom lives. 2. Reframe the pattern. Ask yourself, what emotion is driving this urge? What belief do I hold that's fueling this sabotage? Is this really about the market or something deeper? Example, I'm overtrading because I feel behind in life. I'm trying to catch up. This awareness turns chaos into clarity, and clarity is what allows change. 3. Build micro-integrity. Each time you follow your rule, even when it's hard, you build micro-integrity, and with enough reps, this becomes your identity. I am someone who follows through. I can handle discomfort. I don't need the trade. I trust the process. Self-trust is the antidote to sabotage. 4. Journal the sabotage. Start a sabotage tracker. Each time you deviate, write, what did I do? What did I feel? What story was I telling myself? What could I do differently next time? This builds a map of your mind. Patterns will emerge. Awareness will deepen. Change will come naturally. 5. Trade with intentional constraints. Give yourself boundaries. Max 1 trade per day. Risk no more than 0.5% per trade. Walk away after 2 losses. Use time limits or alerts to avoid overtrading. These constraints protect you from your emotional self until your disciplined self becomes stronger. 6. Forgive. Don't punish. Self-sabotage is human. You're not flawed. You're learning. Every mistake is a teacher. Every failure is feedback. That don't spiral into shame. Instead, I see what I did. I understand why. I choose better next time. Self-compassion accelerates growth far faster than self-judgment. Self-sabotage will return, but you'll be ready. Let's be clear. You will still feel fear. You will still feel doubt. You will still hear the whisper of temptation. But now, you'll recognize it. That you'll see it for what it is. A signal, not a command. That you'll take a breath. You'll choose your higher self. You'll act from alignment. And that shift, from unconscious reaction to conscious response, is the beginning of mastery. Final thoughts for this chapter. Self-sabotage is not your enemy. It's your invitation. Invitation to heal the parts of you that still fear success, to evolve the parts that doubt your worth, to step fully into the identity of a disciplined, confident, and self-aware trader. Overcoming self-sabotage doesn't make you perfect. It makes you powerful, because the moment you stop fighting yourself, you start trading from wholeness. And from that place, the market no longer controls you. You are now in control of your process, your mindset, your future. In the next chapter, we'll explore creating a winning trader identity, how to rewire your self-image so that consistent success becomes your new normal. Let's continue the journey. Chapter 11. Daily Rituals of a Disciplined Trader. If trading were only about strategy, everyone with a chart would be a millionaire. But it's not. Success in trading is about consistency, and consistency is born from daily habits. What you do every day shapes who you become as a trader. Your edge is not just your strategy. Your edge is your discipline. And your discipline is built through ritual. In this chapter, We'll explore the specific daily routines and mindset practices that disciplined, consistent, and successful traders follow, not by chance, but by choice. These are not random habits. These are intentional rituals designed to sharpen focus, regulate emotion, maintain clarity, and reinforce process over outcome. Let's build your professional trader routine, one that centers your mind, protects your capital, and prepares you for peak performance. 1. Morning mindset ritual. When the inner game first before you touch your charts. Before you open your trading platform, prepare your mind. Discipline isn't something you switch on. It's something you prime forward. Here's a proven morning ritual for mental clarity. Step 1. Mental reset. 5 to 10 minutes. Sit quietly. Close your eyes. Breathe deeply and slowly. Focus on nothing but your breath. Let go of yesterday's wins, losses, or emotions. This calms the nervous system and neutralizes emotional carryover. Step 2. Set intentions. 2 to 3 minutes. Say to yourself, today, I trade my plan, not my emotions. I don't need this trade to work. I just need to work the process. I am patient. I wait for high-quality setups. Discipline is my advantage. This isn't fluff. This is mental programming. It sharpens your identity as a process-focused trader. Step 3. Visualize execution. 2 to 5 minutes. Visualize yourself sticking to your rules, taking losses, calmly passing on bad trades, following your edge. Your brain can't tell the difference between real and imagined experience. This is how you wire your instincts. 2. Pre-market preparation. Clarity before chaos. You wouldn't fly a plane without a checklist. Don't enter the market without one either. Create a pre-market ritual that includes a market review. Check economic news/calendar. Identify key levels, support/resistance. Note market bias or trend. B. Plan your trade zones. Where are your ideal entries? Where would your stop go? What's the risk-reward profile? Having a visual map eliminates guesswork under pressure. C. Confirm your conditions. Use a simple checklist. Ballot box with check. My mind is calm. Ballot box with check. I'm not trading to recover losses. Ballot box with check. My setup is valid. Ballot box with check. My risk is defined. Ballot box with check. I accept the outcome. Win or lose. This primes your brain to act logically instead of emotionally. 3. During trading ritual. Execute like a machine. This is the battleground. The moment where the plan meets emotion. Here's how a disciplined trader operates during live trading. A. Trade with time blocks. Set predefined trading windows, e.g., 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Don't stay glued to charts all day. Why? Because prolonged screen time increases emotional fatigue and FOMO. Discipline thrives in structured sessions. B. One trade at a time. Focus fully on one setup at a time. No revenge trading. No stacking unnecessary trades. Quality, quantity. Always. C. Log the trade immediately. Record entry/exit, stop loss, risk size, emotional state, rule adherence. This creates accountability and pattern awareness. 4. Post-market ritual. Reflect, refine, release. Trading isn't finished when the session ends. It's finished when you've reflected and learned. Here's your post-trading routine. A. Performance review. Ask, did I follow my plan? Or did emotion creep in? What was done well? What needs adjustment? Write your answers. Don't just think them. Writing cements learning. B. Process score. Give yourself a score out of 10, not for profit, but for process adherence. This shifts your reward system from external wins to internal discipline. C. Emotional release. Let go of the outcome. Whether it was a green or red day, detach emotionally. It's just data. Tomorrow, I begin again. You can do this through journaling, a walk, meditation, or even just stepping away from your screen. Your job is to reset, not ruminate. 5. Evening ritual. Prepare the subconscious. The work doesn't stop when the charts are closed. The mind continues processing. Here's a simple but powerful evening ritual. A. Review your journal. Skim your trading journal or notes. Remind yourself of key lessons, emotional triggers, and insights. This helps your subconscious organize patterns. B. Visualization or affirmation. 2 to 3 minutes. Before sleep, visualize sticking to your rules, feeling calm and confident, letting go of the need to win. Say internally, I am growing. I am learning. I am becoming a world-class trader, one decision at a time. The mind learns while you sleep. This is how you plant seeds for transformation. Daily ritual equals identity reinforcement. Your rituals are not just habits. They are the daily votes you cast for the trader you want to become. Every time you journal, you say, I'm reflective. Every time you follow your rules, you say, I'm disciplined. Every time you review, you say, I'm serious about my craft. This is how identity is built, not in dramatic moments, but in small, consistent acts, done without applause, repeated without fail. Conclusion: from chaos to consistency, you've made it. From understanding fear, to navigating discipline, to building rituals, identity, and trust. You've walked through the mental battlefield of trading and come out wiser, sharper, and more self-aware. But this is not the end. This is the beginning of trading with clarity. On purpose, let's take a final look at what this journey has really been about. The chaos you faced in the beginning. Trading felt chaotic. Every flicker of the candle seemed personal. Every trade felt like a test of your worth. You were ruled by impulses, fear of missing out, fear of losing, the need to be right. You chased setups that weren't there. You held on to losers hoping they'd turn. You jumped out of winners too early. You broke rules you swore you'd follow. And each time, you asked yourself, why do I keep doing this when I know better? That chaos wasn't just in the charts. It was inside you, because the real battle wasn't against the market. It was against your own expectations, your need for certainty, your fear of loss, your attachment to outcome. The mind you transformed, the transformation didn't come from a holy grail strategy. It came from insight, awareness, ownership. You began to see that your emotions weren't enemies, they were signals. That losing trades weren't failures, they were part of the edge. That consistency didn't come from control, it came from surrendering to the process. You stopped reacting and started responding. You stopped blaming and started building. You discovered the ultimate trading truth. The more control I gain over myself, the less control I need over the market. That shift changed everything. The discipline you built, discipline isn't about being robotic. It's about being deliberate. It's about trading only what aligns with your plan, respecting your stop, even when it hurts, taking breaks before burnout, journaling with honesty, letting go of the need to know what happens next. You turn trading from an emotional roller coaster into a professional craft. You now show up as a process-driven executor, not a prediction-driven gambler. That you've built routines. You've developed structure. You've practiced mindfulness, self-compassion, and neutrality. This is what consistent traders look like. Not perfect, but present. The identity you stepped into, you're no longer just someone who trades. That you've become a trader, not a professional. A student of the game. A master of self-awareness. That you've redefined success, not as instant profit, but as long-term growth. Not as constant winning, but as emotional stability. The markets no longer define your worth. Your process does. That you've moved beyond hoping for a good outcome to knowing you can handle any outcome. That's power. That's confidence. That's freedom. From chaos to consistency. A final message: if there's one lesson that runs through every page of this journey, it's this. The market is neutral. You are not. And the journey of a trader is learning to close that gap. You will still face uncertainty. You will still feel temptation. You will still make mistakes. But now, you have tools. You have awareness. You have the ability to return, to center, to pause, reflect, and choose wisely. That is what separates the hopeful from the professional. That is the edge that never fades. That is what transforms trading from chaos to consistency. What's next? Your journey continues. Read this book again, not just with your eyes, but with your experience. Keep refining your journal. Keep showing up, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard, because those are the moments that shape who you become. You don't need to know what the market will do next. You need to know who you are when it does. And now, you do. You are disciplined. You are deliberate. You are consistent. And most importantly, you are becoming the trader you were meant to be. Let the market come. You're ready.